So here we are at the start. Essentially, bathroom in progress. This area is where the shower's to be. So it did have a shower here. The shower used to end flush with the end of this wall. And actually there was another concrete wall that came across approximately to the back edge of where that hole's cut, across roughly to where the line was, and it stepped back a little bit, not a lot, still came out about a foot and then went across the whole length there. So behind the solid concrete wall there was actually a chimney breast, so that went floor to ceiling all the way through and then down into where it used to reside in the kitchen, and then the rest of it used to have all the soil pipes and things in. So as you can see there, I've got the soil pipe repositioned for the toilet, not a problem, and the shower waste has been moved. You can see what I've done so far, or part of what I've done so far. It's on a flexi pipe, because actually the existing waste used to be around here. So what I've had to do is typical. The drain fell exactly into the middle of a beam or joist. But I suppose, fortunately, so where the chimney used to reside, actually that joist was already missing beyond about here anyway. So what I've actually done is I've cut that away. I've run in two new joists either side, which go into the wall, and then I've run a connecting piece of timber from joist to joist here, and same on the back side and on the wall. So it's actually a lot stronger than it used to be. There you can see it there, the second one. So this is, say, where the shower's going to sit. It's going to be a 900 by 900, so a good size, versus what used to be a 700 by 700, or it might have been 750. How am I going to set it out? So where the old shower used to reside, when I took the shower out, it very much appeared as though the shower must have had a continued leak on it, probably from, well, us and our predecessors of the property, probably for quite some time, because there were a couple of the boards that were totally rotten towards the back end and across, sort of bridging onto where the chimney breast was. And there's also a few of the boards that were a bit spongy, and likewise we had the old cutout section down there for the waste for the shower took out, and there was also a cutout section here with the remnants of some other old waste pipe. Why you'd leave old waste pipe in there, I don't know. So what I've actually done is, beneath this ply, I cut back all the old boards, level with this partition wall here, cut them right back to somewhere over there, sitting on a joist, cut out all the old stuff, and I've replaced it with brand new 18mm floorboards, solid sections all the way through, and essentially leaving the gap for where that pipe work's going to come up. So that's taken care of all the old underlying problems. Then on top of all the floorboards, again, because quite a few were undulating or very undulating and whatnot, I've then laid 15mm ply on top. So it's totally taken the bounce out. It's deadened the noise as well, which is good. It feels warmer underfoot, and it has helped to level out the room, although not totally. And you can see that it's not totally level by the fact that I've already set out a few packers just to sort of demonstrate. And that is, if you take that to be, say, our datum point as the highest point, and then we can see from there, actually to level up, we're going to need 3 millimeters elevation there, then we've got 8 millimeters there, 4 millimeters there, and actually when you carry it on through, just to double check the levels, we see the gradual drop off. And equally, let me zoom for you, if you look at how I've set my tiles out to get nice and level, you can see again we got this tapering between the levels. So before we start talking about levelling all the grounds properly, for the base we need to do a PVA coating just to waterproof the whole area, or partially waterproof it. Be mindful of the fact that not all PVAs are created equally. So just because it says PVA on it doesn't necessarily mean that you can use it for bonding and sealing or gluing. And certainly if you look at, say, like a child-friendly PVA glue, they're mixed with a higher solution of water or water content. So they don't have that same sealant properties to them, they're not as strong. So make sure you're using a good quality PVA solution to start with. And this one, actually, I got it for a good price from Screwfix. You know, not promoting it as such, but it is quite good, and I've used it before. That said, the stuff I had in the garage was rock solid, so shows how long ago I used it. And you only need to use, I think it's 1 part per 5 of water. Let's just double check on that for you. Oh, here we are. So general purpose priming sealing on porous surfaces, 1 part no nonsense PVA diluted 5 parts water. Look at that. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make up that solution and just give it a nice coating all the way over. And this line here represents where the shower tray is going to sit. So what I'm going to do is I'll paint that whole lot, come out probably an extra 10 centimeters wider all the way around, and also make sure to give a coat of paint on the inside of those cuts there. So I want to do that, allow it to go off. Takes really a couple of hours for it to go off properly. Depending how it's looking, I might do a second coat just to be on the safe side. Okay, so just thought I'd show you. I'm basically just using the measuring jug. Wife's out, so she won't notice, not unless she watches the video, which she doesn't tend to. So we got 400 ml worth of water in there, and then we just need to add in another 100 ml worth of PVA. So then that will give us our 1:5 ratio. So we'll get that done now, and then give it a good mix through, and just use an old brush because, well, once you've used a glue in a brush, really it's not worth keeping. Yeah, so that's what we'll do now. Give it a good old mix up and then start painting on. There we are. So you can see if you don't do anything with it, it just separates naturally within the bowl. So just give it a good old stir, as you need to get it properly mixed. All right, so it will probably take you a couple of minutes on that, maybe. Right, we're all mixed up, so what I probably should say, make sure you got your area clear. Before I even started the video, what I would say is I gave the area a good hoover. You want to make sure you get all the dust and, well, whatever, cleared away, so it's not going to be stuck permanently down, and you want to get obviously as nice a finish as possible. So anything that kind of is in your way, get out of the way. And it's really obviously simple. It's just like painting. So start at your corner, paint in, make sure you get decent coverage, and so get it in there, and I'll wait for it to dry, and then I will do a second coat. There we are, so that's first coat done. As you can see, fairly uniform. Worth painting the odd bits of foam. If you do happen to flick them out, then it's worth just picking them off. What I would say, fixing down the timber work, you want to make sure that it's screwed down at every 15 centimetres or 6-inch spacing. That way you're going to ensure that it's nice and stable, and you're not going to get any sort of bounce in it as you move over the floor or within the shower. So that is it. You can see that already it's kind of looking like it's drying, but that's really where it's just soaking into the wood itself. So like I say, I'm going to leave it to dry for a couple of hours, give it another coat, and then we'll move on to the next stage, which will be mixing up some mortar or sand cement mix, and that will become our levelling compound. Okay, so I've got the shower base unpacked, set out into position. Use, if you've got one, use a right angled triangle or set square to work out which walls are straight and which aren't, and you can see that this wall is not straight. Yeah, certainly not straight from the tiles. Anyway, so what I've done is I've set out the tray, packed up so that I could get my levels checked. So what we've got is we've got essentially the 8mm at the bottom, which is the height of the mortar screed that we're going to be putting down, plus the difference on the tops to get it level. All right, so that's the important thing. So we've got that all set out, and then it allows us at this stage to check out whether you've got your waist lined up right. And actually what I found was, which I should have done before I put it down, I have got a bit of an overhang. There's about 1 centimetre overhang of this ply on to the timber work that I had done before, which was my floorboards. And actually, yeah, it does mean I'm going to have to take up this shower base, cut that back so it's level with the floor, or the floorboards I should say, and that will give me the correct clearance. And you know, it's better to do a dry run, so to speak, now before you start laying the mortar and then realise that it's all wrong. So got to lift it up, take it off, cut it. But also what it does enable you to do at this stage, if you haven't worked it out already, which you probably haven't, is we've now got a finishing level for the shower base. So you can then measure up your metre, well in my case, measure up a metre and do a line, and that'll be where I'm going to put the mixer taps. So it's nothing's ever wasted, you always learn something. So yeah, that's the only thing I'll be doing at the moment, is I could draw my line, mark it from a metre, and then lift this off and then do the cut. So you might as well make use of what you've done already. Okay, so tray's back out. Cut that back so you can see that's now flush with my floorboards and supporting joists, and just check my waist to make sure that it all lines up properly. And yeah, whilst I had the base down, I did put my 1 metre high line on. So at some point I can then mark out and do that. And what I will probably do is mark it out properly and drill it before I put the base in, actually, because it's pointless putting the base down, then do your drilling just to put mess all over the base. So I think I'll do that first, actually. Okay, so to avoid my mess, took the shower tray out, chipped out, and I've put in that little unit there, so that'd be for the shower mixer unit. And then got the shower tray levelled, obviously got packers set out, so this gives us our 8mm spacing ready for putting the mortar underneath. Now what that did though, was it then threw out my level a little bit for the waist, which has meant that I had to then do a little bit of additional cutting. But I'll take the base out for you, so I need to take it out ready for the putting the boards down anyway. And just to make sure it's all square, again, just very crudely worked out, bit of 12mm ply in the corner plus a 2mm packer, so 14mm. That gives me the correct spacing on that corner with it butted up to here to ensure that this shower base is going to be nice and square to the bath panel that is already in situ, and you know it's going to be square to the walls. Be nothing worse than getting the tray in, start tiling, and then realizing that it's not square to anything. So this way, although it looks bad against this wall, that's not a problem, because we know it's going to be tidy on this corner, and then as we come through to that corner, we'll be packing out for with them towel adhesive. It's only in that section, and it's about to here, and then it kind of comes out again. So we'll only be making good this bottom section with towel adhesive to any real significance. So let's get this up and show you what I've done. Right, so actually gave this a second coating. Well, I think it's had 3 coatings now actually, and then the waist is all been put together. So it's always a good idea to set your waist out without joining it to start with, and then that way, if you need to maneuver things around or lift them up or whatever, you can do that. You can get it all nice and tidy, get your shower tray down so you know that it's going to line up, and just a nice simple tip, just put some marker pens or marker pen lines on your joints, and in that way you can then disassemble it all, put your plastic glue on, or your cleaner then your glue, and you essentially just got to line up your lines then, and you'll know that it will go together without any issues, and it will all be back together nice and properly. Again, you'll notice that because I've had to lift it up to allow for the raised shower tray to accommodate the mortar, what it meant was I had to cut back this section. So I initially cut back to here, which is to accommodate this 45-degree joint, but I've had to cut a little bit more just to give me that manoeuvrability. Not a problem. So again, just make sure when you put your mortar mix down, you come right to these edges, and then I've just made, well, some little ply offcuts. Again, it's just going to hold your pipework in place. So it's pretty much going to be stationary for when you come to put your tray down. You don't want to have to have silicone on your joints and then try and offer them up and have it a real problem and making a mess everywhere. So all I've got to do, I just take this out, do my quick gluing on these, and then make up a water mix and set the tray. Easy. So just use the degreasing solvent cleaner. Make sure you clean on the inside of your joints and the outside. So basically where the glue is going to be applied, and then you use the solvent cement glue, which basically bonds the plastic. It sort of partially melts them in a funny sort of way and bonds them. It bonds very quickly, so that's why, you know, get your markings on so you know where it's got to go exactly, so then that way you can literally just put your cement glue on and push it on, and it's stuck, because once it's on, you're not getting a second chance. So just get this last section glued. So it's all reassembled, all back in, all lined up. So then once your tray's on, you'll be able to just nudge it across a little bit. So yeah, that's it's all gone together quite nicely. So like I say, the next thing's going to be mixing up the mortar and then laying it down. Right, so it's all fitted, and you can probably see some of the water there. I've put a couple of jugs worth of water down there just to check that all the joints are watertight, which thankfully they are. And you don't have to, well, it doesn't say in the instructions to, but I'm kind of thinking just belts and braces. I'm going to run some silicone onto here and then stick the rubber seal down. One, you know, obviously I don't want it to leak, and I think also if it's almost stuck down with some silicone, it's not going to move when I come to put the shower tray on top of it. So that's what I'm going to do, run some silicone, stick that down, and then get onto that. Right, so I made up the mortar mix, 5:1 sand to cement. Got it roughly level, and then put a few blobs around, which hopefully tallies up with where these indentations are, and then onto that center piece there, put some silicone. So again, as that's fixed, then that will seal to there. That's the plan anyway. So let's give it a go, try and get it in. Right, okay, that's the base down. Siliconed that top down as well before I screwed it. I'm not going to lie, there was some swearing involved, as honestly I couldn't get it lined up to start with, and then the drain dropped away from the base of the unit, so I had to lift the unit again, pack out, but thankfully second time around, touch wood, it's all gone alright. Just whacking a little bit of mortar just around the edges, just to get it a nice and tight finish, and then going to use a damp cloth just to clean off. Once got it all tidy, I'm just going to stick the remains of that as a unit, just sit it on the middle just to add some weight, just so it sets nice and firmly as it should do. Just so you know, I think I said this earlier about it, but obviously that gap there, that is as it's meant to be, because to make sure it's square, I've put a tape measure from this corner to the bath and that corner to the bath to make sure it's all nice and square to the bath, rather than worrying about this wall, which I'm going to have to pack out this bottom section with adhesive. Right, Shower base in, concrete mortar has now gone off. I'll be honest, it's been 36 hours since I put it in, just because well, I had to go to work and just couldn't actually be bothered to do any further yesterday. So as you can see, we've got this big old gap, and I am going to be tiling over the top so the tiles will come down onto it, but you want to make sure that it's nice and watertight. Well, I do, just to be on the safe side. So what I'm going to do is just, I've got a few, well, a couple of half-started silicons. It doesn't really matter. And then I've got a new one, but basically I'm just going to use the silicone up to really pack out all of this, and on the back, which will definitely make sure that it's a nice watertight finish into the wall, basically. So that's what I'm going to do now. So that's first side siliconed in. Obviously it hasn't got to be spot on, but you still want to make sure you're not going to get too much on the wall, because otherwise the adhesive won't stick to it properly. Likewise, try not to get it over your shower tray. You would have noticed possibly that I've still got the plastic on. This bit here was what was wrapped around the side. All I did was I pulled it up before fitting the tray, pulled it up, just put some sellotape on. So you want to keep it as protected as possible, especially when we're going to start tiling over the top. But yeah, it just get your silicone roughly in, and then get a smooth finish. Either use a putty knife, just dipped in a bit of water, or finger. Try not to give you the finger. Bit of water on your finger, and that smooths out nicely. So we've done one side, just finished that up, and just for, well, aesthetic purposes, I used up the clear silicone on the base, base of the channel. Then I've gone over with the white, not that it'd be visible, but it just keeps it nice and tidy. And then the back side there, I'll just use up the last of the white on that. Right, and there you have it. Siliconed in on the two sides, nice and tidy, as tight as it needs to be. And that is the shower tray fitted, essentially. Good idea to let your silicone go off again, because it's pretty deep in some of these areas. You want to give it a few hours, and for me, well, I'm not going to start tiling until tomorrow, so it's got I don't know, like 14 hours to dry, so plenty of time. But that's it. That is finished. Well, let's say that's me done. That's the shower tray in, level, siliconed, watertight, waste pipe all connected up, watertight, good to go. So next stage is essentially for me to get tiling, but obviously the video was not watching me tile. The video was how to put in a shower base. So hopefully a few of you will give it a go. It's not as hard as you think it is. It just takes a little bit of time. Get your levels right, or check your levels to start with, and just that age-old adverb: measure twice, cut once. Measure twice, level twice. Whatever you want to do it twice. Check your measurements, check your distances, check your levels, and then it's done. But yeah, if you've got any questions, not quite sure on anything, please send me a message. I'll do my best to give you some help. If you do like what I'm doing on the channel, then please subscribe. Don't forget to hit that reminder button so don't miss out on the future videos I'm doing. Obviously a lot of my videos are gardening, but still do a fair amount of the DIY and garden projects, so you might find those interesting, but yeah, it's entirely up to you. If you like what I'm doing, then just watch the one video, see if it helps you out. But till next time, well, there you go. See you soon. Bye for now.